Welcome to PrimeScoreX. In this lesson, we are breaking down regulatory roles for the SIE exam. The main idea is simple. The SEC, FINRA, and MSRB each play a different role in the regulatory framework. Your goal is not to memorize isolated words. Your goal is to understand how the concept works inside the securities industry. This matters because SIE questions rarely test concepts in a vacuum. They often describe a market participant, a product, a customer, a firm action, or a regulatory situation. When you understand the purpose of regulatory roles, the answer choices become easier to compare. Start by separating the key terms. For this topic, pay attention to SEC, FINRA, MSRB, and SRO. The SIE often rewards candidates who can recognize a term and then connect it to the correct function, risk, document, or rule. When a question tests regulatory roles, ask 4 questions. Who is involved? What is happening? What concept is being tested? And which answer best fits that concept? This approach keeps you from chasing every extra detail in the STEM. The main distinction to remember is this: SEC equals federal regulator. Also remember that FINRA equals broker-dealer, SRO. SIE distractors often sound familiar, but the correct answer depends on the exact category described in the question. A typical scenario gives you a few facts and asks for the best interpretation or action. Do not start with the answer choices. First, classify the situation. Then connect it to the rule, product, participant, or market function being tested. The exam may ask which regulator is tied to broker-dealers or municipal securities. If an answer choice changes the role, the market, the customer, or the rule, it may be using familiar language in the wrong context. Even when the topic looks technical, the SIE often has a compliance lens. Ask which answer supports fair dealing, accurate disclosure, proper supervision, or investor protection. That lens is especially useful when 2 answer choices seem close. Use this memory cue. SEC oversees, FINRA supervises broker-dealers, MSRB writes muni rules. A good cue is short enough to remember, but meaningful enough to guide a practice question. When you see this topic again, return to that cue before selecting an answer. In practice questions, do not only ask whether you got the answer right. Ask why the correct answer is correct and why the other choices are wrong. That is how you turn regulatory roles from passive knowledge into exam-ready understanding. Quick review. You should be able to define the topic, identify the parties involved, explain why it matters, and recognize the common trap. If you can do those 4 things, you are studying in the way the SIE actually tests. The final takeaway is that regulatory roles is part of a larger securities industry map. Do not memorize it as an isolated definition. Connect it to products, customers, firms, markets, and rules. That is the PrimeScoreX way to build readiness with control.